Well, round 13 delivered thrillers, final berths and standout performances. We'll discuss that and plenty more. Plus, we'll be joined by one of the stars of the competition. Hello and welcome to the NBL1 Show. I'm Megan Hustwaite, off the bench for the next couple of weeks while the boys are at summer camp. And joining me to hold my hand is Mark Worthington. Hello, Wortho.
Hello, it's good to be here. It's nice to have a good-looking face instead of Cam Luke. I reckon he might lose his job over the next couple of weeks. But no, it's been another great week of NBL1 action and excited to get into it.
We sure are. Our special guest on the NBL1 Show today is Marena Whittle from the Knox Raiders, and she's a very happy girl with her side locked in for finals.
Yeah, well, I'm extra happy as well because I thought Megan was going to be holding my hand today, but yes, very excited after the weekend and after locking in finals.
We'll talk about that a bit later in the show. But Wortho, we had some very exciting results at the weekend and 2 match winners. Take us through it.
Well, it's not every day that you get a 1 game winner, let alone 2. And the first one here is you see Hansen straight out of Duck Dynasty with his beard.
That celebration
with the knockdown and the celebration and just really poor transition. And then Bozeman for Frankston with the off-balance 3 in the corner from the out-of-bounds play to sink the Melbourne Tigers. And weren't they jacked up about it?
That's
and the boys get around them because the Frankston Blues, they're making a march at the moment in the NBL1 Championship. And it's wins like that that allow a team to just build on momentum. And you feel like after the poor start that they had to start the season, that they're actually getting their act together, and just a huge shot.
Well, Bozeman's getting a lot of love on the NBL1 Show. Dan Trist was here from Frankston last week and said that he could be the next Jeremy Kendall. So high hopes for him, but he's putting it all on the line at the moment. We like what we see, that's for sure. Well, let's talk about your Raiders, Marena. You've locked in your final spot. How important was it to do that at that stage of the season? We know you have had players come in and out of the side during your campaign.
Yeah, look, I think we probably did it at the best point of the season. We just come off like a long run of having the whole 10, the whole 9, as many people as we could have, and we've just lost Abby and Lauren off to the World Junior Games. So it's going to be an interesting 2 weeks without them, but yeah, perfect time to lock in finals.
Tell us, we've had Lauren on the show a few weeks ago. Yep. Tell us the impact that she has with that group currently, because she's having an outstanding season.
Yeah, she's playing really well. It's great to have such a big presence inside, but also understanding that, you know, she can shoot the 3, she can also dribble, she can drive, she can dish, she can do kind of everything. So it's really awesome to have her on the court because she just drags and draws a lot of defence. And at the moment, it's taking teams like 2 or 3 people to match up on her. So it just makes everyone else a lot freer, knock down shots. And yeah, I think she's averaging like 20 points.
Well,
she's incredible. She's having a great season.
She's had a few monster games this season.
Huge.
Now, we're part of the 3x3 team. You've been one of the moving pieces in it. What has 3x3 taught you this season that you've put into the NBL1 season?
Oh, I think 3x3 is awesome because it just allows you not only like a lot of freedom and being able to play with the basketball, which immediately translates to 5-on-5, but it's also it's a lot more physical, which we all know. And it takes a lot of accountability onto the player. So coming back into the 5-on-5, like you're very focused on what you can bring to defence and what you can bring to offence. So it's just trying to find the extra man and see what's really best for your team. That's what I found coming back into the 5-on-5 realm. I've just been looking for not only how I can get my shot, how I can create contact, get the fouls drawn, but also after I've drawn contact, how I can get that ball out as well. So,
what's the difference in the physical component as far as your aerobic capacity? Because we know that it's a 10-minute block where it's just go, go, go. Obviously, when you get back into the 5-on-5, you have the breaks. But have you found that that's helped you in the 5-on-5 game, or is that something that is like, it almost feels like 2 totally different sports because of the physical demand? Yeah,
I would say it feels almost 2 different sports because it's only in the half court, you know, almost the third of the court. So when you get into the long game, it's like, well, you're not going to be able to run for 40 minutes straight. But yeah, that quickness and that speed and agility that you need definitely like helps you in the 5-on-5 realm.
Marena, it's been a massive year for you in basketball, a breakout WNBL campaign with the Bendigo Spirit coming into the inaugural season of NBL1, and you've signed with the Perth Lynx for the upcoming WNBL season. How would you describe your year to date?
It's definitely exciting. I'm so thrilled to announce that I'm going to the Perth Lynx. I think that's an awesome move for me. And at this point of the season, I'm just enjoying it. I think the girls are getting around it. In the NBL1, I'm having a great time finding my strengths, finding my teammates, getting my team around it. But then also looking on to WNBL season, I feel like I'm in the best spot for me to have another great year. I'm really excited.
The standard of this competition has been a real talking point throughout the year.
Yeah.
And talking to a lot of the WNBL players who are taking part in it, they love that standard and the fact that they're coming up against a WNBL standard players every week. Has that helped you this season as you prepare?
Absolutely. And every team at this rate, and even in the men's comps, like there's just NBL guys, WNBL women, there's high competition in every single team. I don't think there's one team that's lacking this year, and I think if anything, all that does is builds for a great off-season. I think everyone who's looking to step into the leagues, whether it be NBL or WNBL, I think this is the best league to play in.
What has Perth told you about your role going over there? Obviously, the whole thing with free agency is you get to pick and choose who you want to go to, and a team has to appeal to you in some way. What was the appeal from Perth?
Yeah.
And what role do they have you playing?
I think the great thing about Perth is that it's all about freedom and decision-making once you have the basketball in your hands, and just putting 5 on the court to play really well with each other. And that's what just drew me to it. I think it's great being able to really just play basketball at the highest level. And I think, you know, there's a lot of responsibility on court. Once you have the ball in your hands, you're the decision-maker. And that's really been what's been communicated to me, is that once you have the basketball, you need to make a good read or a bad read, and unfortunately if you make a bad read, just get better. And I think it's the best place to get better for anyone who just enjoys playing basketball.
Somehow you're the oldest player at Knox this season, which is a bit crazy to believe, but it has opened up some opportunities for you to work on your leadership this season. Tell us about that.
Well, it's been great. Obviously, we've had a couple rough runs, and understanding that, you know, we've got Bree Watman coming in as a point guard, and, you know, she's had opportunities in the league, and we're just trying to get her to that next level to be able to be a consistent WNBL role player. But also understanding when we do have those tough games, it's easy to kind of get into your teammates, but it's harder to get around your teammates and pull your team with you. And you know, I've had my test this season, but that's just been the focus for me personally, is just how to get the best out of my teammates, and you know, I feel really confident in it.
And given that there's been so many changes to the personnel this year, including yourself, what's been the backbone to the Raiders' success?
That's a great question. I could easily say the individuals, I could easily say the coaches. I just think it's a great organisation. I feel like we just have a great support system in Rob and Zoe. We have a great support system. Even in Jade, our team manager, she just builds a great culture over there. And, you know, we've always got Beck Ott, who's always delivering every single game, Lucy Dawson, just great crew.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how you guys go over the next couple of weeks. We know that 2 other teams have locked in their spots in the women's playoffs, Nuttawading and Kilsyth. Marena came up against the Spectres, your old mob, the Marena Whittle Cup at the weekend.
Yeah.
What do you think of your old side?
Let me just say, from playing for like 12 years for Spectres, walking on the court and going to even line up, you've probably played against old teams, lining up just at the jump ball. I went and stood next to one of my teammates, and she was in yellow, and I was like, all right. She looks at me, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're not wrong. Let me go find a blue person to stand next to. So it was so weird. My whole brain, the first minute, I was like, hold on, where are my teammates? But yeah, great team. I'm excited that they're in finals. I'm excited to come up against them in finals when we have a full squad. And the men, I think, also just locked in their finals as well, which, you know, is no surprise. They're always in the finals every single year. Yeah, it just makes for an even more exciting postseason. Yeah.
What does Maddie Garrick add to that team? Obviously, we know she's a fantastic player and she had a massive game on the weekend.
Yeah, she did.
What does she bring to that team?
Just another body that you got to find. You know, she can drive, she can dish, she can shoot as well. So it just adds like another dynamic that, you know, if the ball's going to her, that she's going to knock down that shot as well. So, you know, she just really draws defence. I know we were struggling a little bit to find her on the three-point line, and they made us pay. She can knock down every time, so just makes them stronger.
where though the Cobras women are in under Sam Woosnam, who continues to prove herself as one of the most successful and exciting rising coaches in the country.
Yeah, you keep looking at the ladder and you sort of wonder if they're going to have that point where they just drop off a little bit, but they've been sensational this year. And again, they locked in their chances this off-season, and they're going to be one of those teams that are dangerous. Obviously, everyone's got an eye on Bendigo and Geelong. Obviously, they're the top two teams in the competition. But I feel like there's about 3 or 4 teams just under them that pose the question, they are capable of beating those 2 teams. And we saw Geelong women lose and break their 14-game streak on the weekend to Ringwood, which was, that's another team that's just... I've watched them play before and I'm like, this is a really talented, athletic team.
Ringwood are good.
Yeah.
And it's different because they also just stepped up as well as Knox and Eltham. And Eltham are even also on the cusp as well. So, yeah, Kilsyth have been... historically a really, really good team and a really strong side, and they've always found themselves into the Final Four. So I think now that they're coming up, it's going to be interesting to see what they really make of the finals.
Yeah, Ringwood certainly have some important self-belief. We touched on the Spectres. The Spectres men have been a powerhouse, forever now, and they're into the finals again, and they're going to be hard to beat as well. Can they take it up to Ballarat?
Well, it's the sort of the old faithful, isn't it? And I called it the Stockton, Malone, McDonald and Con show. And you add someone like Lucas Walker into the mix, as well as a host of other great role players. And they just get the job done. They're sort of a no-thrill sort of team, but
solid.
They're just solid across the board. And I think the guys that came back from the 3x3, they slide into this team and do a really solid job for them. Lucas Walker is obviously a guy that's trying to make it back into the NBL, who's looking out at the moment. And the 2 that I mentioned in Con and McDonald, I mean, they play the pick and roll to perfection. And even at the NBL1 level, you struggle to see who can guard it. And as good as what Ballarat has been this year, I still think they're going to have their struggles. I don't think they've been playing great basketball. They haven't had cohesion. They've gotten through on talent a bit at this point. But the Spectres is definitely a team that you just got to keep your eye on, especially come postseason, because they are that good.
How does the experience, particularly with Con and McDonald, who have played so much basketball together, how can that hold Nunawading in good stead for playoffs?
I think if you just have the experience of knowing someone's game inside and out. I mean, I was lucky enough to play with a guy called Luke Kendall. We played college and then pro together for many, many years. And we just sort of had that, you knew where he was going to be on the court and you didn't have to say a word. And sometimes just getting an easy 2 points is the difference between winning and losing in a game. And the game that I watched them earlier in the year versus Dandenong, they just had that connection, and a few of the passes that McDonald made was just on point, right on time, where Simon could make an easy bucket that sort of kept that gap. And I think if those 2 stay healthy, and they stay on the court, along with the supporting cast that they have, they're more than capable of making noise in the postseason. Is
there another smoky word, though, for you in that top 8, as it stands at the moment?
I said it before, I think Frankston, I don't know if they're a smoky anymore, but Frankston had a really poor start to the season, but have got momentum now on their side. And shout out to Majuk, who just signed his contract with the Perth Wildcats during the week as well. Yeah. But they're a team loaded with talent that are now playing basketball the right way, and they're exciting to watch.
They sure are. Marena, what about in the women's comp? We know Geelong's been top of the tree, but they were knocked off at the weekend by Ringwood. Bendigo have been one that have had eyes on them since round 1.
Yeah.
How have you seen it playing out?
We're lucky enough to have Bendigo up this weekend, and that's going to be interesting just to actually see what they're like. I know they've had a couple close calls. We've really got our eyes on, we know Nunawading just locked in their final spot. We know that Eltham, now with Alice Koenig in the mix, could potentially make a run for it. I know there's only three games left, but, anything's possible. And Ringwood is someone, and I know we've mentioned them already, but I feel like Ringwood is someone that we really need to be aware of. And Frankston, even without Steph Reid, who's dropping 30s, 50s, 40 balls, I know that their imports were able to make a lot of noise as well this weekend. So Frankston also might be in the mix.
We should give a shout out to Lauren Nicholson, who dropped 40 on the weekend for Kilsyth. She's just having an incredible 2019. The Adelaide Lightning are at Kilsyth now. Where though there were some massive weekends from some of the guys that are on the cusp of NBL. We've seen some of them in action before, but they continue to press their case for higher honours. Yeah,
I think we saw some pretty big numbers across the board this weekend in the men's comp. And you look at Lucas Walker, he had 27 points, as we said. He's currently looking for a contract. Dexter Koenigs-Drew, he had 28 points on the weekend. Hadzamerovic, who formerly with Melbourne United, had 25. Ray Turner, 31 points. He's going to be the interesting one. If he can become naturalised at some point during the season, he'd be a fantastic pickup for any club across the board. I think what we saw of him in the Sydney Kings last year, he really came on, he took his time to get into the speed of the game of the NBL competition, but at the end of it, I thought he was a real valuable piece for the Sydney Kings. So I'd be able to watch this space if he becomes naturalised, because I think he'd become a really important piece to any club. And then Jerry Evans Jr. Just continues to do it in Ballarat, and he had 21 and 11 on the weekend. And I think it's just a testament to the competition of showing how strong it is and how much talent there is week in and week out. And obviously they're the ones that have to put up the numbers to be noticed, and I think we've seen it pretty much across the season that these guys are really pushing their case to try and get one of those roster spots. And in the inaugural season of NBL1, we've seen the incredible form of players, teams, and such a tight competition. We've been treated to some fantastic imports, but because it's been such a huge success, we're going to only continue to attract them next year and beyond. Well, I think what this has done is create a definite pathway. I think there's always been the problem with basketball in Australia is you weren't sure where the link-up was to get up to the pro level. And now with brand association alone, I think basketball has sort of made its mark this off-season like it's never done before.
100%.
And the thing that made the NBA really, really good is they space out everything, so you can never forget about the NBA in the off-season, whether it comes to the lottery, the summer league, the draft, it is just one thing after another. And so I think what the NBL has done now with the brand extension with NBL1, I think it's been the forefront of most people's mind, where usually AFL or cricket sort of takes a lot of that limelight. Basketball's taken a lot of limelight, and it will continue to take it as we keep building here. Marena, talking about the platform that this competition continues to lay for players, Colleen Planetta's one that we saw carve out a really successful career in the Big V at Hume City. Yeah. That resulted in a WNBL contract, had a few years at Adelaide, playing for Sydney next season, but she's having another great season at Dandenong. Are there any women's players that you've seen in this competition that would be staking their claim for a WNBL berth?
Look, I would heavily say that again, and emphasise that on every team there's at least 3 or 4 incredible players that at any night could drop 15, 20, 25. And then you've got incredible players. At least one person on every team can go out and score 30. Like, it's just an incredible, incredible off-season, and I think the branding especially has done marvels for us. Like, it's just we're always talking about it. I know everyone's always talking about the NBL1 Show.
The exposure and that it hasn't received before. And the fact that we do get names that we can now say, yes, this is NBL1. Yes, these are the names that are here. And we're showcasing those players and their talents on social media, streaming the games, all that. We've never had exposure like this before. And so now they can become more household names, and you can actually follow your club. You don't have to travel to the opposition stadium every week. You can actually stay up to date. It's never happened like that before. No. You used to watch live stats and you used to get so angry when you hit refresh.
Always goes down.
Always goes down. But now you can actually watch the game, which is amazing.
Yeah. Even in Tasmania, it's great. Yeah. It's freezing over there. We still got coverage.
We love our friends in Tasmania, Marena. We love how NBL1 breaks the internet, and of course you can follow us on all social media platforms and watch all the games on YouTube, as Wertho mentioned. You've got a couple of shout-outs for us, Wertho.
Well, it's just the Next Gen Combine is coming up, and we've been talking about the talent, and if we know quite a few of you watch the show, so if you actually think you've got the talent to step up to the NBL level, go to the NBL website. The registrations close on Thursday, July 18th. But I'd highly recommend the chance to get in front of coaches, GMs, the exposure that you get. It might not happen this year necessarily, but you look at the coaches that are at the Summer League right now with full rosters, they always recruit. And so while they might not have a spot this year for some, I can guarantee you going to these camps and getting this exposure and all that will put your name into their little black book of people to look out for, and they will follow you, and they'll look at your stats and watch your games and go back and see what you did. So
just getting in front.
Great chance to get in front of coaches, great chance to get in front of people that are going to make influences on rosters, and a great chance for you to go out and see if you actually have what it takes to be an NBL player.
Love any time Wortho mentions his little black book. We've got two next-gen superstars in the studio today. Tell us who's joining us, Wortho.
I've got Taz and Axel, my two boys, come down from Cairns from the school holidays, and the Cairns Stingers just had their state championships up in Ipswich on the weekend. Unfortunately, they got fourth, but great little group of kids and boys. Quick.
So enthusiastic over there.
This is impromptu.
Very.
But this is Taz right here. Axel, wave at that camera that's got the big red light on it. Everyone back home in Cairns, be proud. Two future NBL players right here, for sure.
We
Look,
love
just
it.
spitting images of you. Look at it.
Well, they are my kids.
Oh, we can't get it again. I'm like, look exactly like you.
They are my boys, so I'd hope so.
Just put some dirt on their face.
Yeah, they've got it, for sure.
Sons of a gun, that is for sure. Big round coming up, Indigenous round in NBL1. We're looking forward to seeing some fabulous Guernseys on display over the weekend. 15 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander players in our competition this year, which is fantastic. Our refs will also be wearing some special kits. Wortho, what are you looking forward to in the upcoming round?
I think I just enjoy the heritage uniforms. I think everyone's got a different spin on what they do, and I think we've seen it now with the NBL and Tyson Demos and the work that he did with the Illawarra Hawks, and that uniform was just unreal last season, and the Cairns Taipans and what they've been able to do. So I think it's just a testament. It'd be wrong to point out anyone in particular, but I just like seeing what they come up with and how they incorporate that, and for standing for something as well. Yeah. And like you said, we've got the Indigenous players in our competition, and to give them the recognition they deserve.
It's an incredible platform that we're laying over the weekend. Marena, big weekend coming up for your Raiders. I'm sure that's what you're looking forward to.
Very exciting. We have one home game against Bendigo on the Saturday and then away at Waverley. I think both games will be very interesting. Very exciting.
Shout out to our emerging Opals and two of your Raiders girls, Lauren Sheff and Abby Werung, who are in the gold medal game on Thursday against the USA.
Yeah, so I stayed up to watch them didn't stay up. I woke up to watch them at 4 a.m. in the morning. It was very hard to keep my eyes open, but they won. They got across the line, and they're playing off for gold against USA.
And the men are in the semi-final game. They beat Argentina by 8 or 9 points last night as well. So
everything that's going on in Italy is just astounding.
It is astounding.
Revolutionary. Here we go.
We wish our Australian teams all the best in the next couple of days. Thank you for joining us on the NBL1 Show. A massive round of hoops coming up. Enjoy the penultimate round of the season. We'll see you next week.